All else is a distraction for what I'm going to say in a moment. It is the reason for all of this. It is what is protected. It's the secret. This is what the secret societies know. This is what we found in the underground bases. This is what the bloodline families have protected for this long. All the spooky wooky stuff is either a distraction or simply a means of maintaining energy while this is known in order to keep the system going. And there's no way to explain this, but I'll do my best. They found a device, a machine. The only way to know truly is to see it. But we're in an age with technology rising fast enough to the point where movies and digital media can influence your consciousness or depict changing consciousness in such a way that you can kind of imagine what I'm saying, what the experience would be like. It's very difficult to even hold the experience in mind, because the only way to know is to see it. And this would be like a fish all of a sudden looking around and going, what the hell is this? And like waving his fin through the water and realizing they're in water. There's a machine that cleaves time and stitches together etheric, energetic, abstract, spiritual reality. Almost doesn't make sense. Just like air and fuel. And it takes consciousness, the experience of consciousness, and physical material existence, atomic nature, the elements of physical universe, and it cleaves them together and prints them literally like a sewing machine or a 4D printer, and produces these fluctuations in etheric, psychic, energetic waves that emanate outward as the experience of having a physical body and being conscious within that body. And there's a device that generates time. It prints time. It creates it. Without the device, there is no Maya matrix. There is no universe. It is a device someone invented that creates this universe. And that when you approach it, you begin to detect, you begin to sense undulations in the subtle field of reality itself. And you detect an abstraction, a deviation between consciousness and your body, literally like in the Matrix when the fluid takes over his body and separates his consciousness from this area here and his real body outside the system. It's literally the 100% undeniable proof that we are in a kind of consciousness simulation matrix system, because if you mess with the device, the system shuts off. And this is apparently what happened a few years ago. The system shut off. So the goal is to shut it off. The point is, it would be like draining the ocean with the fish inside of it. If the fish realize what's happening and swim to a point where they can pretty much prop themselves up and the water goes down and they're standing there on the rock, on their fins, or whatever you want to call it, basically there's an extraction, they're okay, etc., so on. If they're just following the water as it goes down, everything is going to end up in the Mariana Trench. Everything is going to end up trying to stay with the water as it goes down the drain. And that can't happen. It's basically a dissolution of the consciousness. They have to be able to separate the spiritual aspect from the physical aspect and not flip out and survive and stay calm knowing what's happened. They found a device that does this. They recreated them, but there is one that is tuned to this universe, and every single human and every single being, sentient being in this place is tuned to, and the undulations that it is spitting out are what we call years, and what we call days and weeks and time. It's the strangest thing because it's an abstraction of what you're looking at in itself. It's the consciousness of consciousness. There's no way to describe it, but it is everything. It is everything and it is nothing. And it's really weird because when it cuts off, the first thing is like panic, because it's basically ego death. Because the consciousness, we think we're the body, but we're not. It's all stitched together by this system that is taking two abstractions, elements of existence, material physicality and spiritual or energetic existence, and it cleaves them together. It's literally as if they come and they create this interlace, and then from there you have that grid pattern that is always depicted as the Maya matrix, the grid around the earth, or whatever you want to call it. It's as if you followed those down until you got to a little point, and there's an insertion point. On the other end of that, there's a device stitching the two together, and it's like this alien device that puts the two together and intertwines them. And point is, the experience is getting to the device and realizing what is happening. It's really impossible to describe. All I can do is describe an operation. They had us children approach it because adults basically die. And this is what the bloodlines have protected for this long. And so some people are holding people back. But at this point, there's really no way to hold grudge or blame. However, that will be handled from outside the system, from those who have checked and seen what's gone on and realized some people basically said, F it, we're going to sit here and hide it, and no matter how many people die or get sucked down the drain, that's their fault. That will be handled, but we can't really tell at this point. There are those outside the system that have never been in the system that are recording it, that are in Zion, whatever you want to call it, and that have been recording everybody's actions and everything's. There's no point to blame, because once you see it, it's the glory of all glories. You realize it's the secret of secrets. I don't want to give away any, or say any of these secret society terms, because that's what they're talking about. The cleaving of reality by the architect, which is a design system. God is a computer in this sense, in this reality. And, everyone has to separate from this system in order to get into eternity, because the system has a start and an end point, and you can't get out of a start and an end point as long as you're seeing through the system. It's as weird as it is, these bodies are printed into reality by something banging on the fabric of reality and putting dots that as it reaches you and your spiritual nature, you kind of resonate with, and it's like the needle on a record, or like Braille, where there's an imprint, and that's your consciousness. You're literally like bumping across the grooves that this machine is printing out, and we're experiencing time. We think like, no, I'm making decisions, I'm doing this. So they sent us to the source, and every action that you make as you get closer to the device begins to occur in multiples, and it's literally as if reality is rippling, and you're in these fractal arrangements of experience of time. That's what these ancient drawings are, when they're like squares within squares, and there's like angles all around it, like these Aztec Mayan depictions. They found the device as well. They've discovered what it is. And when you get close to it, it's like getting close to a wave pool, where you're basically getting pushed back as you go, and you're like holding on to not a raft, but like a chain or a guardrail that's underneath the water or something like that, or on the surface, and it's literally like flapping you in the wind, and your soul and your body are separating because you're being pushed back by the device. That's what we found. I don't know how to explain it any other way. It's literally like some form of psychedelic death experience designed by a device that creates this reality in an underground base. I don't know how else to experience it, by some foreign intelligence that created this universe. But we exist outside of it. At least the original humans exist outside of it. And it's really weird, but I can't describe it anymore. It's a pain in the ass, because you can get to it and you realize it's a device, and that the experience of you finding the device is being printed out by the device itself. There's basically an input of your consciousness, and then there's a taking of your intentions and a displaying of possibilities of results of this way, that way, in a multiple sense of these fractal channels that are pumped out, streamed out like streamers, or like